Hello everyone, and welcome back to Shadow Generations. I wanted to take some time to discuss some of my theories about what I think will happen with this story, and I'm doing this in post-commentary so I can actually focus on my thoughts without being distracted every 5 seconds while I explore the privileged space. Now, I know a lot of people have already played through and know how it ends, but luckily I haven't been spoiled yet, and I still have room to guess on how things will go. I've already talked about how I think the Black Arms are a hive mind and how I hope Maria will turn Shadow into an emotional fruit gusher, but there are a few other things I'd like to get out before the game proves me wrong. So, in regards to the whole Black Arms hive mind thing, I'm convinced that every one of these Doctor Strange transitions we go through is really just Black Doom using his genetic telepathic connection with Shadow to enter his mind and create illusions for him to go through. And we sort of saw him do something similar in Shadow the Hedgehog, in that one level where he shows Shadow visions of the past, where he and Maria were running from Gun and she gets shot. So I don't think he's actually bending reality or the physical world at all. And I think Black Doom is doing this to help push Shadow through his Black Arms version of puberty to perfect his body before he completely takes control of it. Because Shadow already defeated him before, so Black Doom knows Shadow is the stronger of the two of them. But I'm not sure if that means their fight will be some kind of Mind Palace dream sequence, or if they'll actually be fighting in the flesh, and depending on how that goes, Black Doom could actually survive this game and become a lasting villain. Or, if Shadow does actually kill him off, his new powers could be an avenue for Black Doom to linger on as a voice in Shadow's mind. And in that case, I think Shadow might actually retain these new Black Arms transformations. But every time he uses them, it would also reawaken Black Doom as a voice in his head, which he would then have to resist and fend off to keep from losing control of his own body. On the other hand, Shadow is already one of the most powerful characters in the Sonic franchise. He really doesn't need a power boost. So it's also possible that killing off Black Doom once and for all would also put an end to Shadow's transformations, and they would be a one-time thing just for this game. But given how Sega has handled things in the past, I think they're going to leave the possibility of Shadow using these powers again without committing one way or the other. Then they'll wait and see what public opinion is and go from there. I mean, they killed off Shadow at the end of Sonic Adventure 2 because they didn't know if he was going to be popular or not. But they left the vague possibility of him coming back open just in case. And now that I think about it, they didn't fuck around like that with Rouge at all. They knew she was definitely going to be popular. All those little boys who started playing Sonic games back in the early 90s had grown into horny little teenagers by 2001. There was no fucking way Rouge was not going to be popular with that demographic. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I think I'd prefer if Black Doom came back as a lasting villain. Not sure if I'd prefer him as a voice in Shadow's head, or still alive with his own physical body, and temporarily retreating back into the void of deep space to rebuild the Black Arms population. Either way would be a great setup for future Shadow games. Now, the other thing I wanted to discuss was the time travel aspect of this game. I've been a huge fan of time travel stories since the first time I saw Back to the Future, and being very familiar with the various rules of time travel, I'm pretty sure I know exactly how this is going to end. First of all, I am certain this is going to turn out to be a self-fulfilling time loop. Shadow is not going to be able to change the past, he's not going to be able to save Maria, everything is going to stay the same, just like it did in Sonic Generations. Plus, rewriting Shadow's entire history like that would just create an unfathomable narrative mess. But what I think is going to happen is that we are going to find out that everything Maria ever did, being close friends with Shadow, always talking about how amazing Earth is, wanting to have a happy life down there, constantly appealing to Shadow's good side, all of it was because she knew what was going to happen and how it was going to affect Shadow. so she did everything she could to try and make sure Shadow would be able to have a happy life on Earth, even though she wouldn't be there with him. We saw from Dark Beginnings how Shadow was always saving Maria, and I think we're going to find out that Maria knowingly decided that she was going to make the ultimate sacrifice to save him. And I'm hoping that this will lead to Shadow having some desperately needed character development, and at the end of the game, he's going to go to Sonic's birthday party because Maria told him to go make new friends. And just maybe, they'll even have Amy mention that her birthday is coming up, which would then lead into the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, and finally explain why the hell Shadow was even there in the first place. I mean, come on, Shadow went to Amy's birthday party, but Cream didn't? Cream was way closer friends with Amy than Shadow ever was. Why the hell wasn't she there? Did Vanilla not approve of her participating in a pretend murder investigation? God, that would have been one hell of a twist. Can you imagine if Cream had been there and it turned out she was the one who killed Sonic? That would have been like Maggie shooting Mr. Burns. I also think that Tails' fake Chaos Emerald is going to come into play at some point. It would be pretty pointless for them to set that up at the beginning of the game when things kicked off with the Time Eater if they weren't going to do anything with it. I'm pretty sure that in Sonic Generations, Sonic gets a Chaos Emerald from beating Shadow, so I'm guessing they're going to tie that into this side of the game somehow, which would leave Shadow without a proper Chaos Emerald, so he's going to need that extra fake one from Tails in order to keep using Chaos Control. I'm also curious about what we're going to learn about Professor Gerald from this. I still haven't read any of his journal pages yet. Particularly in regard to his revenge plot involving BioLizard, because that never really made sense to me, how he was able to orchestrate that whole scheme after he was captured and locked up by Gunn. But if Gerald found out what was going to happen here, he would have had plenty of time to set things up before Maria was killed. Or maybe there was some message Gerald left for Shadow that I'm not remembering from Sonic Adventure 2. At any rate, there's plenty of opportunity to fill in some big, long, unexplained plot holes, or create some new ones. Speaking of which, ever since I watched Dark Beginnings, I've noticed every single post-Sonic Adventure 2 shot of the moon that doesn't have a giant blast crater from being shot by the Eclipse cannon. The fact that they made a particular point of showing off that detail has made me notice every single depiction of an undamaged moon we've seen in every game since Sonic Adventure 2, including this one. And I'll certainly be checking the IDW comics for that detail as well. And there was one last thing I wanted to mention. I've played through Sonic Adventure 2 dozens of times, and I've played through Shadow the Hedgehog more than enough times to complete all 326 possible routes. And at no point whatsoever do I remember either of those games mentioning anything about Maria being sick. So, when the hell did that detail get added to the canon? I'm not sure when it happened, but I am dead certain that it was not originally part of their backstory. And that's all I have to say on my various theories about how this game is going to go, so yeah, enjoy watching me redo the boss key challenges to pick up all the collection keys I missed. And I will see you next time.
Do this. All right. This is the ultimate power. Yeah.
Out of my way! am so f***ing pissed off right now.
What kind of shit is that?
Excellent! Yes. Wow! Shadow. I will assist you, Shadow. Observation. Let's do this. This is the ultimate power. way.